Hello, this is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor, and it is a Thursday. One more day, and we can say, thank God it's Friday, and then the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. I hope you guys have things planned. Don't just sit around the house, get out and get some fresh air, and live. I know we're under this recession period at the moment, but we can do fun things. There's a lot of free things out there to do. If you buy a lake, go to a lake. Get some fresh air. Take a dive into it, even though they're probably getting colder now. If you've got a community pool, go to the pool. If you've got a movie theater, go to see a movie. Do something with your family or your friends. Sit down and have a cup of coffee with a friend. But get out and live. Don't sit there any longer. This economic situation we're in, and we just got out of that stupid pandemic thing where governments locked us down and destroyed our lives and our health and our mental health. It's time to get out there and start doing some things for us, for you. Whatever that may be. Don't think that if I go out, it's going to cost me money. It might cost you a little bit of money in gas, but get out there, take a walk, ride your bike, do something so that you're living, because we are going through some tough times financially. No matter what all of these news people are telling you, just know that it's tough economic times. And you can make it through those tough economic times if you pay attention to your budgets. Plan well on your spending. Don't buy extravagant items. Buy what you need. Buy what you need to survive on. Buy what your kids need for school. And please try not to use your credit card. I've always had the rule in my life that I have to spend only what I can spend. Not what I want, not what I dream about, but what I can spend to survive. I have been through several of these recessions before. I have lost 401k plans pretty much in past jobs because inflation hit it and it was gone the next day. It's tough when you open up your 401k plan and you have a negative in your 401k plan. You and I can make it through this, and we will. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about, as you know, in this new bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, which, as I've said so many times, does absolutely nothing. We have to pay very special attention to the tax part of it. Now, Janet Yellen, Joe Biden, they've all said, and also Joe Manchin, all basically lied to you because they said that it would not affect people under $200,000. Well, it's going to. Because once a bill leaves Congress, and if there's a tax portion in there, it goes over to the Internal Revenue Service. And the Internal Revenue Service then matches it up with all the other IRS codes that affect that law. We saw this happen when Obamacare passed a law and said, oh, this is only a fee. But in actuality, once it got over to the Internal Revenue Service, it became a tax. And it was even taken to court and declared as a tax. So the Supreme Court said, no, I'm sorry, it's a tax. It's not a fee. So it became taxable. And you had to pay that. Everybody had to pay it. If you did your tax returns at that time, you all had to submit those forms that showed that you had health insurance. And if you didn't, you got taxed. It wasn't a fee, it was a tax. And it was declared a tax. in the Congress, remember, Obama said, oh no, this bill will have no taxes. But it did. It had consequences, as a matter of fact. If you didn't have health insurance, you were subjected to a tax. And those of you who had only a portion of years or a certain portion of the year that you were covered by an insurance, you still were assessed a tax. It was never a fee. And once it got over into the Internal Revenue Service and the attorneys began looking at it and how it should be applied, it became a tax. The same thing happened. Remember when they had this forgiveness plan out of Congress? You can now be forgiven. However, the amount that was forgiven became taxable to you. So every time that Congress does something and touches the tax code, it becomes a tax. It always does. And it's not just at a certain income level. It affects us. It trickles down. This is called trickle-down taxation from the Democrats. In this bill that's in Congress right now, it's going to trickle down and it's going to hit every single family. I guarantee it. I've looked at the bill, and the way that it's written and the way that the tax code is written, it is going to affect you. So don't be surprised when you do your tax return and this new legislation is in there that it's not going to touch you, because it's going to. Not just on your income tax return, but on other taxes that affect you, on gas taxes and everything else, it's going to affect you. This is not a tax-free bill. This is a tax bill. Now, what I don't like about it, you see, when you tax people, that increases inflation. Because if you tax a corporation, that tax, if they have to pay, gets passed on to you in the cost of the merchandise that they're selling you. You get it. You get the portion of tax. That's just how business works. So, in some way or another, you are going to be touched by this Inflation Reduction Act that was such a lie and such a farce that it's going to touch you. So make sure that you've got everything documented for your tax return this year. Don't just make up numbers. I used to think it was always funny when I used to have clients come into my office. And I'd ask them, well, this and that, how did you come up with that number? Did you spend this amount? And I always knew when they were making up numbers, because they would look up and pull those magical numbers, those magical deductions out of the air. Thank God, under the Trump administration, they did away with so many of those deductions. The home office use expense, the job-related expenses, all of those went away. So all of those making up numbers went away too. And those were subject to audit. Okay, those were subject to audit. Now, in this bill, if you are a self-employed individual, if you're filing a Schedule C or an LLC or it's S Corp or C Corp, expect to get a knock from the IRS door. Because they're going after any business that they think they can squeeze some more tax money out of. Make sure you've got everything documented. Make sure you've sat down with your accountant and said what is deductible, what isn't deductible, what is legitimate, what is not legitimate deductions, expenses. This bill has thousands and thousands of new IRS agents being added to it. I don't care what's being said out of Janet Yellen's office. Please don't touch anybody down at this level. No, the way that the laws are written, it will touch us. It will touch you. I know it's going to touch me. Just out of fun, not a fun story, but a story. I filed my taxes in February. Okay? I just now, yesterday, got a letter from the Internal Revenue Service that they had processed my tax return. From February until now, it took them that long to process my tax return. I'm getting calls from clients all the time that say, you filed in March. Why have we not gotten anything or received anything from the Internal Revenue Service? Because the Internal Revenue Service is a year behind schedule. The automatic processing systems that they have are antiquated and they need to be revived. That's what they should have taken this $80 billion or whatever the amount of money that they're giving the IRS. Forget about hiring new people. They need to fix their systems because they're so antiquated. Customer service calls are forever on hold. So I want you to be very much aware that no matter what's being said out there by these politicians, even Manchin said yesterday it's not going to do anything to help inflation. Economists have said this isn't going to do anything to help inflation. But what it is going to do is it's going to go after small businesses. And it's going to go after taxpayers. Because they know, per the IRS code, because see, when Congress makes a change in tax law or proposes something in tax law and it becomes law, it also has to be tied to the current tax code. And whatever is written in that code has another tax code that affects it. So that's why I never believe politicians when they say this tax code is not going to harm you. So if you have a $75,000 a year business, it's going to harm you. They're going to come after you. They are going to question your tax return. So make sure that you've got everything documented and you know what's in your tax return. And then also, if your tax practitioner does not represent you before the Internal Revenue Service, make sure that you find an outside source where they do represent you. Or if you can buy a special package, there's packages out there that taxpayers can buy that if you get audited, you pay so much a year, and if you get audited, they will represent you. Just know that you're going to need some type of representation. It's very seldom that I ever tell people, represent yourself, you can do this. If it's a small business, if it's just a Schedule C, if you've got everything documented, it should be quite simple. But you have to be very careful what you say and what you do, how you phrase your word. It's usually just a yes or no answers is all I suggest. Because once you expand, it may open you up to something else. So make sure that you've got good representation. Find that good representation. But my guarantee to you is this, is that the part of the tax bill part of this inflation reduction nonsense is going to touch you. It always does. There are bills that go through Congress that there are tax words in there and it affects you. We've seen it so many times where tax bills have been attached to, like, as an example, a transportation bill. That's enough of this today. I just wanted to let you know that don't believe what's being said by members of Congress because it's an absolute lie. I hate to say that, it's an absolute lie. Listen, if you want to have more access to me, go to my website, www.lodge-co.com. Again, that's www.lodge-co.com. Everybody have a great day. Today's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Let's get to it. We're almost there. We've made it. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.